Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Z and I'm a Canadian Pakistani cinematographer. And today we are doing a lighting breakdown on a recent commercial that we shot. Now, this was for a local restaurant who just started selling some of their signature cooking sauces at some local supermarkets. So let's take a look at the commercial and then we'll come back and do some breakdowns.
Well, he caught it well. Keller had dived well.
Mom says she's going to be home in 20 minutes. Oh, and she's wondering when dinner is going to be ready.
Pass your plate.
Thank you. That's better than usual.
That's because Dad used the tasty sauce.
Tasty Sauce from Tasty Indian Bistro. Now available at London Drugs.
All right, so we had a lot of fun making that commercial and we had a lot of great responses from it. So I do want to break down a few of the shots that we did for that. Now, all of these were shot on the Blackmagic 6K Pro, and the only two lenses that we used were the Vespid 21mm and the Vespid 35mm by Dzofilm. So I'm not going to get into more camera talk, but I just want to talk about the lighting and the setup that we did for each of these scenes. So let's start with the opening shot of the commercial. Okay, the first thing I want to mention is that to the left here, this entire wall was just windows. So we had to go in and make sure we negged all of that out. So we went and put up black curtains and garbage bags on every single window. And that was really important because we wanted to control the light spilling in from that side so we can get this nice shadow that you see on our talents' faces here. The next thing I want to highlight is the practicals we have. So we were lucky that the house had some nice practicals, so that these are the ones that I'm highlighting here. So those were the house practicals that we decided to use and turn on. I think it's always advantageous to try and use the practicals in location if it works in your favor. Obviously you can't control the color temperature and the intensity sometimes, but in this case, they worked out just fine, which was fantastic. We did put up our own practicals, which are a couple MCs that you see here. So we had that set to about 3200 Kelvin. Again, these are aperture MCs. And we had them set to about 20% brightness. So those were just to add a little bit of pop into the background and make it look like there was a little bit more light in the kitchen area. Okay, the next two lights that we have were what were being used for room tone. So we wanted to make it seem like there was sun coming in from the right, even though that wasn't really the case when we were shooting this shot. So the two lights that we're using outside is the Godox 1200 by and an aperture 600D. Okay, so both of these is what adding room tone. So you kind of see this spillage that we have on this cabinet and the light that's coming in this way into the background. So we have both of those set to 100% and we had that set to about 4000 Kelvin. So those were at full brightness because we did have to pretty much light up this entire scene here. So that was our initial two lights being used as the room tone. Okay, I want to talk about our two key lights that we have. So we have a key light on this talent's face, and then we also have a key light that's here. So the one in front, we're using a Godox 2x2 panel. That's the F200 by. We have that set to 4000 Kelvin, and we have that set to 100%. So that's the light that's coming in this off camera right and right into our talent's face. The one that we have for the background is the Godox 4x4 panel. So we have that set to also 4000 Kelvin, and we have that set to about 30%. So that is a lot larger of a source. Both of this, we're using the grids and diffusion on them. So that gives us a nice controlled soft light. So that's really important there. So one of the light that we are using in this scene here is a hair light for our main talent. So we have this one set to 5600. So this is a Godox 4x2 panel at 5600 Kelvin. And this one here is set to about 50%. And again, this also has the grid and diffusion on there. So there's a lot of lights being used in this scene. So it is quite a wide shot. So when you are shooting wide, you have to not only light your subjects and your talent, you also have to light the space itself. So that's something you need to keep in mind. So we had a lot of lights going for this, but I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. Okay, the next shot I want to talk about is the close-up cut that we have on the father here. So I absolutely love this shot. Our DP Sam did an amazing job here. So the setup is very similar to kind of what we had before. So again, on the left-hand side is that neg that we have that's blocking all the light from this window. And again, that's what you're seeing, all of this shadow being created on the talent here. We still have the use of the practicals. The only one you can really see is back here. Again, that's the MC set to 3200 Kelvin at about 20%. So none of that in the background changed. The only thing that we did is two things for this shot. So the first move that we made is our key light. So we moved the 4x4 panel that's set to 4000 Kelvin in a lot closer to our subject. So this is what's giving us this really soft light and what's adding this beautiful catch light in his eyes. So we did turn this up to about 80% and brought it in. Again, this has the grid plus the diffusion on there and creating this really soft look that we're getting on our subject here. And we did move that 4x2 panel into this shot as well. So that's what's giving us this blue edge here. So this was set to 5600 Kelvin and we had it set to about 50% on our subject here. So you can just faintly see it, and that's what's giving us this rim light and a little bit of separation from the background. Okay, so the last shot I want to talk about in this sequence is the most important, because this is the one that's called the hero shot. It was the final shot of the video and the one that had to show the product. Now, this was the first shot that we shot at the commercial because we knew it was going to take the most time in terms of the setup. So let's start with the background and then we'll kind of move forward and show the lights that are being used to light the product. So again, in the back here, we have these practicals that were actually built into the house. So those are set. Again, I don't know the color temperature or percentage because they were just what we got. The next thing that we have is the Godox 1200 by, which is being shot into an ultra bounce. That's at set to 4000 Kelvin at 100%. So that's what's giving us this room tone that's coming in this way. We also have a aperture 600D with the Fresnel that's also set to 100%. So there's a lot of light coming in this way to light up our background and gives the entire room a nice tone to start with. Okay, next up for our main key light, we have a Godox 4x4 panel, which is set to 100% at 4000 Kelvin. And this is actually going through a grid, a diffusion. So that's what's giving us this really, really soft light coming in this way. So again, this is our main key light, and that's what's giving us a really soft look and just this beautiful light that you see hitting all of these bottles. Now for this shot, we actually have two kickers. So the kickers, or the hair light that we have, are the G300 plus a spotlight. So that's by Gion. And that's what's giving us this edge that you just see here on all the bottles. And that's just to help separate the product from the background. So we have that set to 3200 Kelvin. So again, we're using color contrast to our advantage here, just to give some separation between the main key light and the main background light. The other light that we're using here was because it was a little bit too dark on the left-hand side, is the Godox 4x2 panel at 4000 Kelvin at about 50%. So again, this is another hair light that we were using, and we just found it was a little bit too contrasty for this product shot, and we really wanted to be bright and highlight the products in its full. We also had a 5-in-1 reflector that was set off to camera left just to help fill in some of the shadows that you see on the left-hand side. Okay, so those are all of the shots that we're going to be going through here today. Now again, if you do want to see these, I do post the lighting diagrams and breakdowns on my Instagram channel, so I'll link that in my description below. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something today, and I will catch you on the next one.